Okay, so this is going to be an exciting segment, and for any of you interested in ghostly and paranormal subject matter, then listen up because we have our very own ghost hunter joining us right now. And Janice, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm so excited about this because I am a fan of those, those shows you see on cable, and they're chasing and they've got all the equipment and they're looking for activity of some kind. You're shadow hunters and paranormal investigators here in the region.
Yes.
It isn't always as cut and dry as it is on the shows, is it?
No. Honestly, the shows, they tend to film over a certain period of time, usually a few days to a week, and they take the most active times that they're filming. And it seems more active than it actually is. It's a lot of waiting. You really, most of the time, don't know you have anything until you review your evidence.
Right.
So it can be misleading.
Because even then, being in the TV business, I would expect to see more, but even there's some episodes where you're just really not getting a whole lot because, and I understand the time issue, but it does take time to find this kind of thing. And you were telling me yesterday that clients are not normally as open and willing to share that information because they feel like they're a little bit, explain that part of it.
Well, there's a stigma that tends to come with admitting that you may have activity in your home related to ghosts or the paranormal. And most people, the first thing they say when they contact us is, don't think I'm crazy, but.
Right.
And then they go on to tell you, it's just not something that people want to talk about, either for fear of criticism or what it may be. And then also because it is televised, they don't want their homes and their families on television.
Exposed, exactly.
Yes.
And so that's what I wanted to let people know, because I know when I was calling you, I'm thinking, oh, I bet you got all these great pictures and all this data and all these things we can see, but it's not that cut and dry because you have to have permission from these folks in order to have even had anything here on the show today.
Yes. Yes, you have to have permission, and you want to keep everything professional and as confidential as you can. So
that's what's different with the cable shows, because they're throwing everything out there. You're not exactly. It's really not like that.
And with them, I think that most of the time it's mostly ratings based. You know, you want to see the results.
You want to see something.
So you're going to go into an investigation a little differently. You're going to want to go in and have them agree that you can disclose anything found.
Exactly.
Now, when you're dealing with people in their homes and their personal lives, it's a little different because you want to keep that confidentiality. You want to keep it as hush-hush as you can.
And they don't want everybody to know their business.
Exactly, and a lot of times, they're afraid that you're going to show up with a big crew. So
right, so that's why I want to let people know. It's just that's why we're not really able to show a lot of. You have a few things on your website, which we'll give you that information in just a second. But you're not able to really show everything as we thought we could see. But what I really do want to see is some of this equipment that you use. Kind of walk us through. We have less than 2 minutes. Walk us through. Somebody calls you today.
Yes.
And you go to their place. What is the process, if you can do that very quickly?
The process is what we would do. We would go in and we would conduct any interviews with people there that we would need to talk to, find out the locations in the home or business that are the most affected. We would take base readings to establish, okay, are there EMF, which we would use this meter for.
The sensor meter right here?
Yes, we would set up cameras, digital voice recorders, and a few other things. And what you want to do is you take base readings to collect the data that you need.
Right.
And then any variation that you get, can you correlate it to something paranormal or something natural or environmental?
And that's where the history and research comes in.
Yes, and then you would do history and research on the property as well, but usually that would come after. If you get something that kind of indicates that that's where it's from and you get some kind of cue, then yes.
And we have less than a minute, but you were telling me the story about a client that you had that they heard the voice of a child, because not every activity is evil, or there's a lot. There's so much to this. We could talk all day, but the point is there was a place where there was a child's voice, right?
She called because she thought it was a negative entity or spirit there, and we actually had a child's voice captured on audio. And she had 2 adult children with no grandchildren, so it was very curious.
It's fascinating. And I think I'd like to have you come back and talk about maybe more specific cases too. So thank you so much for coming. Here's the number. If anybody does have questions, they can call you at that number. And you are Shadow Hunters Paranormal Investigations. And you do have a website, shadowhuntersparanormalva.com. I'd love to hear some stories if you get some calls.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back in just a moment.